Hello and welcome to For Book Lovers Only, where we interview some talented authors and talk about some amazing books. My name is Rob Brown, your host and chief book lover, and today we have a very special guest. She is a life coach and an author, and she has written a book entitled Rebirth of Me, Embracing the Journey. Please welcome to For Book Lovers Only, Serwa Kenyetta. Serwa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, you and I had first met a couple of months ago at the event at the middle school. I was particularly interested in learning more about your book, but let's start out by just learning a little bit more about you. Tell us a bit more about your background.
Well, I actually am, like you said, a life coach, a mentor, an author. I started out working with, I guess, kind of the beginning is working with young girls in Frederick Douglass High School, Prince George's County Public Schools. And I had an opportunity of witnessing how exciting it could be to just work with young people and encouraging them and motivating them. And that's kind of been my journey, my experience, my life purpose.
Okay. And when you started working with, you said, the young ladies at Frederick Douglass School, was that something that you had sort of focused on initially, or were you kind of thrown into that? And
it kind of just evolved. You know, I worked at Blue Cross and Blue Shield for 100 years, and I had the opportunity of working at Prince George's County Public Schools as a school-based parent liaison. And my children attended that school. So it was a very smooth transition, and once I got there, it was something I knew I would be doing. I would be working with young people in some capacity.
I see. And when you first started that job, do you have any formal training that prepared you for that? Or when you started, you're just like, hey, I've just got to do some on-the-job training?
Other than training, I was a trainer at Blue Cross and Blue Shield for a number of years. That was one of the many things that I did while I was there. And then just as a parent, and I happened to be at that time the PTSA president, so I was already working in some sort of capacity in the school system. So it was a very smooth transition. I
see. And what were some of the challenges that you faced on a daily basis dealing with the young one? I imagine at that age, you know, they have a lot of, issues, a lot of challenges that you had to face directly. Tell us a little bit about, just your daily activities.
I really think the challenges were to get them to see what their potential was. Because a lot of times, it was the surface, it was the manifestation of something, and typically it was low self-esteem that was causing them to act out. So just getting them to get past some of that superficial stuff to get to the root of what was going on, and that was fun. It was challenging, but it was a good challenge. It wasn't a dreading challenge, if you will.
And did you only work with the young women? Did you ever have an opportunity to work with some of the young guys?
No, I worked with all students. I worked with all students. We had something called an advisory, which was a 5th period I can't remember if it was weekly or biweekly, where in the school system they were trying to create more of a atmosphere where the children, it was closer, that they had some sort of connection. So they invented these advisories so that the students would have an opportunity to interact with teachers that they wouldn't necessarily interact with, because usually students just have a relationship with their teachers.
Exactly.
So the advisory was giving them an opportunity to interact and kind of communicate with other adults within the school system. And at that time, I handpicked my advisory. So I picked all girls who either constantly got in trouble or constantly needed mediation, because I knew that there was something going on there and I wanted to deal with that. So it was an awesome experience, and that's what really let me know that I was going to be working with youth in some capacity, because I really enjoyed doing that.
And what was the impact that you made on the lives of these students? Tell us about some of those success stories.
Just seeing them develop, just seeing them overcome challenges, seeing them not get in trouble as much, seeing them take responsibility for their actions, take an interest in school. It wasn't that they weren't interested in school, but they lacked confidence in their ability. So seeing that confidence come and them participating in activities and taking charge of activities, it was incredible.
Absolutely. So after that, you decided to become a life coach, or was it like somewhat of a transition period? Or
actually, I think that after I went through what caused the book to be birthed, after I went through some life challenges and just going through what I had to go through to get to the end of that particular journey, it made me want to do that with others. It made me want to help others, and it just kind of happened.
Wow, so it just kind of happened.
Yeah, and I went to training. I became a coaching client of Joe Vitale. He is one of the authors, well, one of the participants and in the book, The Secret.
Okay.
And he does a coaching program with Achieve Today. So I became one of his coaching clients, and that really kind of let me know that's what I wanted to do.
That's what you wanted to do. Okay. So tell us about Rebirth of Me. You and I had spoken about the book a while ago, but I'm really excited for our viewers to have an opportunity to listen to you talk about the book. So tell us like a little bit about, the motivation, inspiration behind the book.
Well, The Rebirth of Me, Embracing the Journey did not start out as a book. I never intended on being an author. I never thought about being an author. I was journaling. I was going through a challenge. I was going through a divorce, and it was just the recognizing and the owning of the part that I played in the ending of that relationship that was overwhelming.
Right.
It was devastating, just recognizing the decisions, the actions that I participated in that caused the end of my marriage, and it was bigger than life. And I started to journal just as a way to reduce stress because I was totally depressed. And I was journaling, and that was my outlet, just writing out what I was thinking. I was writing poetry, never written poetry before,
Right.
haven't written poetry since, actually. And I just started writing, no intention of writing a book at all. And I moved, and one day I was just going through stuff, trying to clean out, how you do your spring cleaning.
Right.
And I found this journal, and I started reading it, and I did not remember writing half of it. I knew I wrote it because it was my handwriting, but I didn't remember half of it. And I was amazed because it was inspiring me, some of the stuff that was in the journal. And then it just started flowing. I just started writing. It was just pouring out. I don't know where it was coming from,
Right.
but it was just pouring out. And I decided, I was like, this is really turning into a book. But I didn't want it to be something that I was writing because this was completely inspired. And so I decided that once that inspiration stopped, once it stopped flowing, I would wrap the book up. I didn't know how many pages it would be, or how it would turn out, but that's kind of what happened. And once it stopped flowing, I just ended the book. And I happened to participate in a program that Cortland had at Greenbelt Middle School, and the title of it was Rebirth of Me. And I said, that's the title of my book. That's exactly what happened. So, and I realized that I had to embrace my flaws. I had to embrace my weaknesses. And so that's where the embracing the journey came, the end of the Rebirth of Me, for my book title.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you were actually journaling and you were writing when the divorce was actually happening?
Through the separation.
Through the separation.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what made you journal? A lot of people have different ways of coping with something that's traumatic in their lives. A lot of people may go seek, professional counseling, may talk to their pastor. What was it that made you say, hey, I just want to write out my feelings in a journal?
Well, I kind of just started writing. I always wrote. Like when I was frustrated, I always wrote. But that was an immediate outlet. Roller skating is an outlet for me, but you can't always go roller skating.
Right.
So writing is something that I could do at any moment. Like if I just needed to get frustrations out or get thoughts out, you could always write. It didn't matter where you were or what time of day. So I just started, just writing.
Okay. So let's kind of dive into the book. Tell us about like some of the things that are actually in the book, some of the chapters, some of the things that you share.
Well, one thing I say about this book, it's not a chapter book.
Okay.
It really, I call them sections, and it's not a novel. It's really a tool. It's kind of a template, it's something that people can use. It's not something that you just sit down and read from cover to cover.
Okay.
It's not that kind of book. It really is a journal of the tools that I use that I got from different authors. I read books like one of the very first books I read, which was amazing, was Day by Day with James Allen by
Right,
Vic
James
Johnson.
Allen.
And it literally is either 30 or 31 days, and each day you read something. And it was so amazing to me because that book, each day, it was so applicable to where I was. So the first part of my book is just like that. I'm
Okay.
actually, day by day, I was journaling each day. So I was kind of reading the book and doing what he said. So each day I would journal something. So that's how it started out. And then it just goes into other aspects, other things that other people are challenged with, different, topics, dealing with promiscuity or just dealing with depression or neglect or low self-esteem, different sections such as that. And I just wrote, just from where I was. And then I was reading other books, like John C. Maxwell wrote a book called Failing Forward. And that is amazing because it's all in how you look at a situation. You can look at a failure as something that's bad, or you could look at it as a tool, that's
exactly.
a lesson. So different books like that. And another book that I really loved, and it came back to my memory, when I was working at Blue Cross and Blue Shield one time, we did a workshop because there was a lot of stuff going on in the organization and we really needed to build that team together, everyone achieves more mentality. And we did a workshop based on Spencer Johnson's book, Who Moved My Cheese? And just dealing with change and adjusting to change and recognizing what part you're playing, what role you're playing in your life in dealing with that change. So I went back to that book and I read it and it helped me. So all of these things was helping me. So in the book, there are a lot of little tools and a lot of little nuggets, encouragement, quotes that I got inspired with, by different authors in the book to help people along their journey.
So when you were writing the book, you said you were journaling. Was it ever a challenge to actually sit down and write, or as far as the words like coming out from the pen to the paper? Or there was sometimes you're just like, I just have to force myself to write, or whenever you grabbed a pen, it just flowed out?
I never had to force it. I didn't want to force it because as I read the book, it was actually helping me. It was inspiring me. It was helping me along the journey. It was completely inspired. This was not written by me. It was written through me. That's what I tell people. So I only wrote when it flowed. And it was flowing so much that the problem was not writing. The problem wasn't writing. So that's why I decided that when it stopped, I was just going to end the book because I didn't want it to be something that I was forcing.
I see. So you were journaling, you wrote the book, and then you said you put it away for a while, and then you rediscovered it when
when I was journaling, I put it away. And when I rediscovered it, that's when I started writing, and it became the book.
Okay. And what was the time period between?
I would say that I started journaling apart from, at the beginning, before I put it away, towards the end of 2012. And then I found the journal like mid-2013, and I wrote and wrote and wrote, and I think I finished the book in around August 2015. And I published it at the end of 2015.
Okay. So when you were writing the book, when you found it again, did you reread what you had already written?
Yes.
So you reread it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I was inspired because I didn't remember writing a lot. I was a lot of poetry, and I was like, wow, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good, yeah.
I didn't remember writing that. But then as I began to write and it started pouring out, a lot of that when we went through the editing phase, because Cortland actually helped me a lot with the editing, I was so amazed because I didn't remember writing half of what was in there. And it was so inspirational to me. That's when I decided, okay, this is going to be a book. And it was a little challenging and a little scary because it is a raw picture of what I was going through. I'm very transparent. And so that in itself was a little scary. But my passion was if I could help one person, get through and not give up and recognize that they can get past it. Because one of the biggest challenges was that my circumstance, although it was very serious and it wasn't good, it wasn't larger than life, but I made it larger than life. I couldn't see above it, beside it, beneath it. So I really did not think I was going to get past it. And so if I can encourage one person to let them know that this too shall pass, this is one of many things that you will go through, maybe not as bad, but you will get past this. If I can encourage one person, then it will be worth it. So I just went ahead and published.
Okay. And when you published it and released it, what was the initial reaction from people, let's say in your family, your inner circle?
I got a lot of support. And I had something happen that was so amazing that it made it worthwhile. I had a young woman that I went to high school with that I hadn't talked to in years because I put it on Facebook, and I started my Facebook page again because of my high school. We had a reunion, and that's how we kept in touch. So I have a lot of contacts with friends from years and years ago that I don't get to see. And one of my high school and college, she was a high school friend, she sent me a message in Facebook, and she said, the title of your book. She said, I have seen many books, I've read many books, and she referenced all of these wonderful authors. And she said, but your title is exactly what I needed. And she said, thank you. And I just broke down in tears because I was like, wow.
I can imagine.
You know, that was amazing. So she actually ordered the book, and she sent me the picture in her message. It was a picture of her holding the book. And then she sent me a message after she finished it, and she said that it was amazing. It was perfectly timed in what she was going through and what she needed. She never shared with me what she was going through, but she shared that that was really helping her.
Wow, and that's what the book was for. It was to help other people.
Exactly.
So do you use the book, as far as you being a life coach with your clients now, do you use that as an aid to some of your clients?
I use some of the subject matter as motivations for workshops or motivations for exercises that I do in workshops with the youth, as well as in life coaching.
Oh, so it has multiple uses then.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So for a person who's interested in learning more about the book, and they're like, you know, I just need one little nugget from this interview to kind of put me over and say, hey, this is the book that I want to order. What is the one thing that a person can get from this book? That
they can get past any challenge that they're going through. That this too shall pass, that they have everything within them right now. And this is something that I tell my young people all the time. You have everything that you need to fulfill your life purpose when you're born. Now, as you age and you mature, you're actually perfecting it, but you come equipped with everything you need. So you can accomplish what you were put here to do. So just keep going. Don't give up. You can do it.
And this book, obviously, it would help people who are going through tough situations like separation or divorce, but any type of tough, tragic situation that a person is dealing with, they can get some nuggets of wisdom from this book.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not, excuse me, I deal with young girls in particular, but this book isn't for females. It isn't for any particular group. It's just for anyone who's going through a life-changing event. And they just need encouragement. They just need motivation to get through it.
So for people who are watching and want to learn a little bit more about you, about the book, is there a website or contact information that they can reach out to?
Yes, my organization is Esteem Now, so my website is www.esteemnow.org. The book already also has its own website, and that's rebirthofme.org. And then my email address for the organization is support@esteemnow.org.
Great. Serwa, thank you so much for being a guest on our show.
Me.
Sounds like this book is going to change a lot of lives, and I'm glad that you wrote it. So,
thank you so much.
Do you have any other books that you're thinking about writing in the future, or are you just going to stick with this one for now? Or?
No, I have some in the works, but right now I have an initiative with my organization. We're doing a book project called Yes I Can Book Project. In fact, we just launched our GoFundMe account, Yes I Can Book Project, GoFundMe.com. And we're really excited because I'm trying to encourage other young authors to rise up and, you know, just write, regardless of what it is, creative expression or what have you. So just trying to encourage that through literacy.
Well, that's phenomenal. Yes. Once again, thank you so much for coming to the show, and we look forward to you visiting again.
Thank you.
If you want to learn more about Serwa and her book, please visit www.forbookloversonly.com. And also, please visit www.villageconnector.com. You can get on the mailing list for both websites. Once again, thank you for visiting. My name is Rob Brown, your host and chief book lover, and this is For Book Lovers Only. And remember, if you love books, we have a home for you. Take care.